My name is Jeremy Cohen. I was born and raised in Oakland, California. I am a musician, composer, and violinist. I started playing violin when I was 7 years old. I had two older brothers that were also playing musical instruments, so I was pretty gung-ho. I think my mom encouraged me to play violin. I think my parents thought they were going to have a string quartet, so they only had one violinist, so they needed two for a string quartet, so they encouraged me to play violin, and it stuck. Well, I think music was a normal thing in my house. It wasn't extraordinary. My older brothers played instruments, and I thought that the violin is very much similar to a voice, and my parents were singers. So I found a voice in the violin once I figured out how to play it, of course. I think in the early stages, playing the violin is a lot of just figuring out how to get sounds on it that aren't scratchy or are more in tune and more related to the voice. So the early years are actually a lot more sort of intense work in finding a voice. I think I learned after a few years that I could be in control of the instrument, that I could control the sounds that it makes, and that was a big motivator for me to be the boss of it instead of it being the boss of me. I was for 2 years a student of Itzhak Perlman, probably the most famous violinist in the world. There was just recently a movie that was just released about him called Itzhak, and he was fabulous. He's a beautiful violinist. For the Quartet San Francisco albums, I think a total of 7 or 8 Grammy nominations. 3 of those were for Best Classical Crossover Album, so those 3 were particularly important to me. The others also very important. The Classical Crossover Grammy was in, modern chamber music, which is really where Quartet San Francisco's heart is, so those Grammy nominations were very significant for me. At this age, I really feel like when I open the violin, I'm excited for an opportunity to get together and play with my music, with my instrument, and make something good happen in the world. I've worked very hard to stay connected to that. I don't ever want to take out the violin and not want to be playing it. I always want to find things that keep me interested and motivated. And that means I got to search inside my heart for what I really love, because then it's easy to pursue what you care about when you have passion for it. When I talk to people about being creative, I talk about creating my own sandbox and being able to play in my sandbox with my toys. And I think there's a way to connect that to imagine what your best scenario is, what the thing you having the most fun and being the most creative would be, and that would be your sandbox. And learn to play in it, play well in it, and invite others into it and play well with others. I think that's probably a good idea.